like to say thank you for everybody jumping over here. I really didn't want to have Max get in trouble tonight. So let me just say thank you all for jumping over. And let me put the link in the chat. So if you feel that you want to hang out and you want to be a panelist, I have no problem with that. Come on in. Water's fine. Tonight I am building, or I'm going to be probably pulling apart the pieces of this first. I've got people in chat. Let me give you some shout outs here first. Brian James. Hello, sir. You like Queensryche? I love Queensryche. All by myself. Hi, it's Six Nations, 31 Kings. Mr. Flady. How you doing? Hey, everybody. Crafting Gamer. JP. Do you simulcast to Twitch as well? No, I do not. I may in the future simulcast to Rumble, though, because Rumble, if I put up a stream on Rumble, it will get 30, 40 people watching. I don't know why. It does. Hey, Travis J., how you doing? Mr. Six Nation 31 Kings, sir. Going to go empty the bladder. I had to do that. I had 4 of these beers, and they are amazing, but they do fill you up fast. Flady says, the sound of the police. Yep. High stream elements. Yes, he is. All right, I'm going to get my hands full of figures, so I'm not trying to not neglect the chat. I'm going to be talking to the chat quite a bit, and I prefer a stream where the chat and I do bounce things off each other's. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that's an honest way to run a chat. And you see a lot of people fail that. They really mess that up horribly. Hi, Green Apple. How are you doing today, sir? Good to see you in here. Flady says he's grabbing a coffee. For those of you that do want to be on panel, there is a link there at 2230. For those of you that are using military time, there it is. And our cutoff time, we're going to be shutting this down at about 12:30 this morning or tomorrow morning. So in about 2 hours. Within about 2 hours, we should be wrapping up because I do need to get up, be functional, go do husbandly things like dropping off laundry. JP's like, I gotta pee. Everybody's like, I'm going to get coffee. I'm going. I didn't realize I was sitting for that long. Okay. I really like that door. See that? Green Apple, I'm doing very well. Green Apple says, I'm doing well. Work is going along, so my weekend will be delayed. That can be a problem until payday, and you're rewarded. Right now, I am between paychecks, and I was supposed to be paid today, but there was a wreck, and so we're getting things airmailed to us Monday. Our paychecks will be there then. ADD teases me with sleep. Oh, you poor man, you. Poor man. That is pretty sharp. Okay, I can see why people like this. Yeah, it is a pretty cool building. My last customer today is an estate sale person, so they had an Sanctum Imperialis. And this was just laying there in a trove of stuff. And they're like, you play Warhammer? No, I use the figures. Okay, well, here, have this. Yeah, it's got some really intricate detail. This is my first Warhammer project I've done in years. So we will see how this goes. I guess I should probably look at the instructions. All right. Okay. I don't need any of these pieces, so I can set these off to the side. What I need are these pieces. Okay. Yeah, I do. The only thing I wish this had was, I don't know why, but I do miss when you're building old airplane and jet model kits, the decals. The decals you would get. Six Nation 31 King says, my HOA would shit purple Twinkies if I did that to my house. Travis says the obvious, which I do not disagree with. GW is dying due to greed and three-dimensional printing. And I can't say I feel too bad, says Six Nation 31 Kings. I get that. I'm not a big fan of GW. GW has really kind of fucked over their fan base. Cal says, I just got the decals from Carthage Must Be Destroyed. It's not a bad game from what I heard. Lady's like, my brother just invested in a new 3D printer. Those can be a really good find. The instructions say, always start assembly with a corner section. This will provide support for the rest of the building. Okay. I think I agree with that. Ooh. Games Workshop deserves destruction, just like WotC, says Calvinani. And then Travis follows that up with, I think purple Twinkies is against the rules. Find them. Green Apple says, echoes my thoughts. I'm tempted to get a 3D printer. I was thinking about a laser engraver a while ago, but I need to hold off. Man, I know that feeling. I know that feeling all too well. Lady says, I'm done with minis until I move my place. It's so small, it's like Jenga here. I have to move stuff to do anything. Well, I have a friend, Stian, from the game I run. He plays the Druid. He's getting ready to move to Texas, and he's going to be damn near unloading his entire fucking outfit here, which I'm not too thrilled about. My wife, she likes the idea of it because it will provide me with inspiration to keep working on miniatures. And she likes the fact that I work on miniatures because it keeps me out of her hair. Crafting Gamer says, I love my 3D printer. Dude, they can be a good investment, and if you use it enough, it will save you the money. Now everybody has Patreons and get these STL files, and you're seeing real competition from these creators as they try to get your subscription. That's great. That's one of the best things I've seen. Missing a tool here. All right, fine. Let's file it off. I don't need a 3D printer though. I've got so many figs. Just a desk of shame. I don't need any more figs. Six Nation says, I need to win the lottery so I can do 3D printers, CNC machining route, all my hobbies in one fell swoop. Flatey's like, I can't wait to get a fair size house. I miss woodworking. Oh, my dad does that. He's pretty accomplished. My father has been a woodworker for over 30 years. And that's one of his. Ooh. Hey, JP. Testing, JP.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Hey, I can hear you okay now.
All right, good deal.
What do you have there?
I can hear you. I have got a this.
That's pretty.
Okay. I have got a this is called the Shadow man, what is the name of this? This is a mech. This is an MSV from a game called Tech Commander. It's written by my friend Brian Carnes. And I'm getting ready to I'm working on building all these up for a diorama at Origins Game Fair next month. So it's a pretty big project. So this is the scale that we usually produce these in, 10 millimeter scale, right? But this is the scale that we have them for the diorama. So we went from 10 millimeter to 28 millimeter.
That's pretty cool. And you got their character names on the side there.
Yeah. So this is I always have a hard time remembering the name of that particular mecha. Here is the very first one I ever painted for Sea Dog Game Studios, though. This is called the Troll, and it's kind of an outdated style of painting, so I'm going to touch it up a little bit. But
how old is that figure?
This was one of the first productions. We used to make them out of resin. Now we're doing all 3D printing, and this figure was from the prototype playtest set, so I think it was 2008 or 2009. So, but you can see how he carved everything out of resin blocks and old pieces of ship models and the like. So that was
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was one of the prototype models. Then we got into 3D printing, and everything's more even. You don't have a lot of weird problems, especially down at the smaller scales. You don't have to print in sections. The larger models were expensive, so it was hard to sell them to people to play. So we dropped down to smaller scale. And so what I'm doing here is basically doing a lot of paint repair. These paint jobs were just to get things onto the table so we could host games at conventions.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So,
JB, did you ever play Hordes or War Machine?
Yes, I have played War Machine. I actually have a sizable K-Door collection. Okay. In fact, last February, there was a gentleman that used to own. Well, it was funny. He owned a game store. He let it kind of go fallow because he was having some health problems, and so his game store was just sitting there. I think he owned the building, so he didn't have to worry about it ever being just shut down without him. So without him knowing about it, so he put a notice out on our club Facebook page. He said, "Hey, I'm finally closing the store, and I'm selling everything off. No offer is too crazy." So if you want something, come down and we'll make a deal. So I went down there and I basically cleared him out of all of his War Machine Horde stuff. So I've got more than I can paint for a lifetime, you know.
I feel you. When I hear statements like that, I understand.
But it keeps me busy and off the streets, you know. But
See, I love this hobby. Not so big on Warhammer, but
sure.
I got it for free, so fine, I'll listen to it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Check
Well,
it
I
out.
mean, that's the thing is I've got a sizable back catalog of 40K and Warhammer stuff that I collected over the years. And as things are, you know, you're just not really I'm loath to give them up because there are projects. There's a lot of projects that are started that I have plans to finish, armies that I want to finish up and the like. And the fact is I can use whatever rules I want to use with them, you know. So
Have you played Oathmark yet?
no, I haven't had the opportunity.
Okay.
Kings of War. When it comes to rank and flank, my club is pretty much Kings of War.
Okay. I'm familiar with that game system.
Yeah.
I like their figs a lot. And for those of you that don't know who Kings of War are, just look up Mantic Games. You'll be very happy at their pricing.
Yeah. Well, I talked to Ronnie Renton at Adepticon a couple of years ago. Well, 2018, when before before time. And I was talking to him a little bit, and I said, you know, over the years, Workshop has pretty well priced me out. I mean, I got everything I want to get from them pretty much for all my armies. Yeah, I said, but there's a lot of stuff that I've been buying from you guys. You know, I think your rule sets are a little bit better too, and the like. And he says, well, that's because we don't have to appease shareholders. And that's, you know, that's Workshop's big problem is shareholders. And they had some really, really anti-consumer policies going on with Tom Kirby.
I haven't heard about this.
Okay, Tom Kirby was their previous. Right now, they're under Kevin Roundtree. He's their current CEO. And when Kevin got in there, he started making things that people wanted. The previous fella, Tom Kirby, he is the reason why Specialist Games shut down. So he's the reason why GW stopped making Necromunda and Battlefleet Gothic and Epic and all the games that are coming back right now. Kill Team. What else was there? Mordheim. You know, that's why we're
All the
seeing
good
a lot.
GW stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff. So he shut all that stuff down. They went to their three main money makers, which were Fantasy Battle, 40K, and Lord of the Rings, or Middle Earth strategy game. And the thing about that is it opened up the market for everybody else to start making stuff. So basically they ceded a lot of space in the market when they stopped doing that. And so then you started seeing stuff from like Hawk War Games came out with Drop Zone Commander for Epic style gaming, you know. What else was there? Of course, War Machines Hordes was a thing, was a pretty big contender at the time. I don't know if you remember Warzone.
I do.
Mutant
Warzone Chronopia by
Yep.
Heartbreaker.
Yep, and that's coming back. They've got a Kickstarter that's going on right now. They funded in like the first 2 days. So they're bringing that back. They actually ran it before, I think a few months ago, like last year or 2 years ago, and it funded, but they didn't like the way that things were, the direction that they were taking things art wise and developmentally wise. So they shut that Kickstarter down and kind of made another approach at it and brought it back. And this time they're going to be able to bring it to fruition. They're pretty happy with their product overall. So, so that's coming back, and of course, it kind of has that whole skirmish game style right now too, which is really popular. Because people aren't really buying armies and painting armies right now unless you're some kind of wild-eyed madman like me and my friends. And this game right here, Tech Commander, was developed. Brian started developing it back in 2008, and play tested it. And we have a convention style play, is a deathmatch style play, so you can walk up. It's a participation game, right? So you can walk up, play, walk away, go do something else, come back later on, and pick up the game again, as long as we're in session. And so it's very skirmishy. I mean, the smallest unit you need is a unit of one, either mech or infantry or a vehicle of some sort. So, but we developed this in 2008, kind of brought it out in 2009. 2010, Brian made the big mistake of telling me he wanted a drop ship for the game. So I had some time off work for a while. Family business was running a little slow, so I took the layoff and built a lot of terrain for him. I brought this big. I had a street light canopy, big globe street light, and I made it into a drop ship. And I specifically avoided. I tried to avoid as much as I could anything that would look BattleTechy, right? Even though they have a round drop ship, but I figure Star Wars has a round drop ship, and round is just a shape. And as long as I don't specifically copy anybody else's stuff, I'm good to go. But we did that, and the guys at Origins that year, I'll tell you, it was better than having a pretty girl at the booth, I think Catalyst saw what we had and got a little jealous, and we're just a garage out. Sea Dog Game Studio. I say we. I say we because I'm told only tangentially associated with them. I paint for them. I'm not really an employee by any means. All opinions are my own.
I prefer those type of disclaimers, just to make sure we protect the company that you prefer so much.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, but it's my conspiracy theory that Catalyst saw what we did, got a hold of a copy of our game, and developed Alpha Strike, because there are play forms that are very similar. Now, mechanically, there are certain differences, but the results are very similar. So,
I'm not ignoring the chat, by the way. I'm listening. I'm watching everybody's stuff go by, but we do have a guest, and I want to make sure they're able to say their piece.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see the chat. Let me see if I can pull that.
If you have a secondary device, pop open the YouTube and take the volume down, and you should be able to see just fine.
Yeah. Actually, I can see it right now. It's coming through the backstage here, I think.
Okay.
Let's see. Travis, 1975. Lady, more of an RPG player myself. Got in the War Minis to hang out with my brother. It's Chill Bruce. Cal Vanoni says. hard to get people together for game night or day, Flady? Yes, absolutely it is. That's the problem with being an adult, right?
Yeah. Never enough time for the hobbies we love. We always have plenty of time for us to go to work and for us to be depressed. Like, I didn't get to do what I
Yeah.
wanted to this week.
I'll get up and do it in a minute. 3 hours later.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah. So what have you been playing lately? Anything, or are you just hobbying away for a little while?
Um,
Anything big planned?
I've been actually running my game every other week,
Uh-huh.
and that's been kind of my focus. I have been kind of running a Disneyland style hex crawl where like there's things to do, there's people to meet, but you stop somewhere and you start interacting with NPCs, and that's the equivalent of getting in line for a big ride. So
Okay.
you need to buckle up and be ready because that's going to be your ticket for the next 5 or 6 sessions. And I like that style of statement. And you have a game where like you have a hex crawl, and if you go over here you got to fuck with goblins. If you go over here you got to mess with the city sewers and be the bitch boy for this noble clan. And if you don't do that, well, you can do whatever you want, but then things will kind of grow on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people that you neglected were just small time, but now, there's a necromancer in this group, and he starts doing things and he starts putting together his plans. And so you'll have a undead horde if you let it sit to 7th level. And
Wow.
I like games like that. I like games where there's a ticking clock
Okay,
mechanism.
yeah. Sure.
I want the players to have a sense of urgency. It's fine if you have your own agency and things. It's better if I can work it into the campaign to make it more personal. But I prefer a game where I don't have players come up to me with 5 or 6 sheets of backstory.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I mean, I think the players' characters you should explore who they are, who they're coming along, who they are as you go along, and you can develop that. But I like the idea of a ticking clock, persistent world. Things happen that you don't have any control over. That if you're not in the right place at the right time, something bad will happen. If they miss, the world changes whether they change with it or not. I like the idea of that ticking clock idea. That way you're not just that way your players are kind of have to stay on task too, I think.
Yeah, that helps them keep focus. That helps them kind of understand that you can go and set up money to build a super magic item for yourself, or if you want like the robes of magi and you've got the money, yeah, it'll take about 3 months, but it'll get here. Why
Right.
don't you do something in that 3 month time period instead of staring at the crafter, make your stuff?
Yeah.
And I like that idea. I like the idea of keeping the players busy and always making them just a little bit hungry. Not keeping them starved like what Kai thinks, but making it to where like you can afford these magic items. You're going to be on ramen for a while, but you can afford these magic items if you so choose.
Right. I like that. So now, do you use a lot of miniatures in your games, or are you just
Oh yeah,
an enthusiast?
yeah. I have about 20,000 figures in the front room.
Oh wow.
Probably less than that. Probably closer to about 12 or 11,000. But still, that's for a lot of people like myself. That's a lot of figs.
Sure. Well, yeah. To some people, it would seem like a lot of figs. I've never done a calculation on mine, but I think I probably have that almost. myself. Not all together built and painted yet, but overall, sure. But yeah, after this project, I'm gonna not take any snot. I'm not gonna take any more commissions for a little while after this project, because this kind of got dumped in my lap last month. Like, we need this in 2 months.
So you're a commissioned painter?
This is kind of grassroots. My work with Sea Dog Game Studios is kind of grassroots. They basically pay my way to conventions. So
Nice.
it's kind of stock and trade. But yes, I do commissions, and I have done commissions, like actual paying money commissions. I guess they must have been desperate.
That happens.
But yes.
I'm liking that that ship though.
Thanks.
I think the chat likes it too.
About West Virginia, if I went east. There is I also run paint and takes at local conventions. Ones that I don't work with Sea Dog Game Studios for. Just local small conventions.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, sometimes I wish I could clone myself so I could run games and run paint and takes, but I kind of have to choose one or the other. But I actually did 3 conventions in 6 weeks earlier this year. And seeing people will walk up and say, "What's it?" Say, "Well, it's a paint and take." "What's that?" "Well, you paint a mini and you take it with you." And they say, "Oh, I can't paint a mini." I said, "Have you ever tried?" They say, "No." I said, well, today's a good day to try. And I had families come in and paint. I had people that had just never, they said, "I'm no artist." I said, "You don't have to be an artist." I said, I'll get you started, and then you just sling the paint as you see fit." I said, "Have you ever colored in a coloring book?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Can you write your name?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "You can paint a mini. I have faith in you." And I tell you what, there was a lot of people, a lot of first-time miniatures painters that thought they couldn't paint. But I tell you, with a couple of tips and tricks, I said, I usually try to not bother people while they're painting, but I say, if you got any tips and if you've got any questions or want a tip or a trick, feel free to ask. And you teach somebody a couple of little techniques, explain dry brushing to them, for instance. And I tell you what, I saw a lot of people coming out of there with figures that looked like they've been painting for 10 years,
Wow.
Just, and they just like, "I didn't know I could do it." I said, "Well, I knew you could."
Sounds like people just have to be awakened to it.
Yeah.
They have to have that initial contact.
Absolutely. But that paint and take, the one actually specifically put me in contact with a couple of other gaming companies that want me to run stuff at their conventions. So kind of opens up the world when you kind of put yourself out there a little bit. Even if you're operating at a little bit of a loss, just get it out there, grow the hobby. Eventually something good is going to happen for you, So sometimes you just have to take that grassroots stand and be the change you want, so to speak. So what was your first miniature you ever painted? Do you remember?
It was a Star Wars Imperial security figure from West End Games. They used to have their own division that made miniatures for West End Games D6 and Star Wars skirmish games.
Yep. I think Grenadier actually handled those.
Grenadier did that.
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of those were Julie Guthrie sculpts.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, those were early on. Mine were Ral Parthas. And oh, go ahead.
What year for Ral Partha?
1989.
Okay. Yeah, you've been at this a little longer than me.
So, I also am friends with the current people that run Ral Partha, not Iron Wind Metals, but Ral Partha Legacy. That's a thing. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but basically he brought back a lot of the old sculpts, and he also is running. He's also got Thunderbolt Mountain miniatures going.
I know Thunderbolt pretty well.
Yeah. So RalParthaLegacy.com, if I'm allowed to say that. I'm not really making a plug for them, but
No, but that's a good way to direct people as to who you appreciate.
But and they have a program, paint one get one, that if you paint a figure for them, they will send you a figure. So if you want to dip your toe into commission style painting, try it out.
Cal says Jacob Fathbruckner runs it.
That's right. Yep. Me and Jacob know each other pretty well. I've spent several nights at his house.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, if you'd have told 14-year-old me that one day I would be on first name basis with Ral Parthas people, I would have looked at you like you had a frog growing out of your head, you know? So that was... So, you know, that's one of those things that, you know, you stick with something long enough, you get in the hobby long enough, you go to the right places, eventually you're going to meet people. And, you know, it's one of my friends is saying, your dreams can come true.
I believe that.
Now you're doing published games over on Big Geek Emporium now?
Say again?
You're publishing games now out on Big Geek Emporium?
I don't have anything out on Big Geek Emporium just yet. I'll be releasing something here later on this summer.
Is this your first game to publish, or have you done other projects?
This will be my first game I've published. I've published other books before. I've published 2 cyberpunk novels.
Cool.
But they're not for cyberpunk. They were for a franchise that I never followed through with, and I probably should go for it because a lot of people that read it enjoyed it. They were like, it's cheesy. You can definitely tell it's amateur, but it's fun. And that's what I was going for.
Sure.
Legion of Myth says, my wife told me I should ruin your stream with singing. Hold on. Baron G Rock, you want to get him in here? Green Apple, I am releasing a rule set for my version of 3.5 or 3.x because I like the 3.x engine for D&D. I don't think it's the best ever out there, but I've made some modifications and I think it will work just fine for you and your friends. I'll be doing the first release this year, up to 10 levels for the first 5 classes, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Nice.
Are you a tabletop RPG or do you just do mainly skirmish games?
I play whatever I can find to play, you know. My tabletop RPG days are not as much as my wargaming days. I just find RPGs to be a little bit involved. You know, war game you can kind of pick up and play and put away again.
Mhm.
RPGs are a little bit more time consuming, mind consuming too.
Yes.
But my favorite is actually Gamma World.
That's going to raise some heads.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Gamma World. I can take or leave D&D. I mean, I like a lot of the mechanics in the various iterations of D&D. I mean, mechanics are mechanics, you know. It's D&D to me is not really a setting as much as it is a set of mechanics that you can apply to anything you want it to apply to.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how much work you want to do to decouple it from, say, quasi medieval fantasy, you know.
Agree with that. I can agree with that a lot.
I think a lot of people, I call it the GW effect, right? It's hard to get some of the younger players to try games that aren't workshop because, you know, miniatures sourcing, right? Back in the old days, miniatures and company and rule sets were two different things. There was no one-stop shop. You just had to find companies that were making the figures you were looking for. If you wanted Romans, you know, you might have two different companies making, you know, one might be making Hastati and the other one might be making the Legionnaires. So if you wanted to have Hastati in your army, you'd have to buy from one company and Legionnaires for the other company, you know. So we're trying to kind of lead the way, showing kids at our club that you don't have to buy into any one thing. So that's one thing we're doing with like Napoleonics and some of the like Neil Thomas's 1 hour rule sets.
Mm-hmm.
We have my main bolt action opponent. We're using 1/72nd scale plastic models and figures because they're, first of all, they're cheaper and you have a better depth of options for kits. So you don't have to wait on warlords to build something at 1/56 scale, you know. Because back in the day, what did you have if you wanted to play World War II or even World War One for that matter? You had to get your Italieri or your Eschi figures, all 1/72nd soft plastic stuff. They were horrible. They kind of were horrible figures, but at the same time, they represented what you wanted them to represent. But you know, I'm from the days of the mimeographed rule set, the zine size rule sets. You know, you got a buddy that has his brother or his cousins in college, and he's got this, you know, college gaming group, and they've got this set of rules, and hey, these are really cool. So it's kind of a little more old school, but we're trying to just teach kids that you can decouple. You make your gaming experience your own. You don't have to be beholden to the way a corporation wants you to play their game, because they want to sell you more their stuff, which that's understandable. You know, I'm a mercenary. I understand that. So,
It's a good way
but
to
at the
put
same
it
time,
too, because a lot of people don't understand that. No. You're a mercenary. You've got your own agenda for things, and you want to do your certain victory path that you feel is most important.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, you know, money is important. Making money is important. Not the most important thing. I'm not without a soul, but what I'm getting at is I understand a corporation has to make money in order to exist, to be able to provide jobs for people that work there. But at the same time, there are alternatives to being told how to play with the toys that you buy. I guess that's where I'm going with that thought. Because Workshop, Mantic, anybody that has a rule set with a line of figures, even my buddies here at Sea Dog Game Studios, to a certain extent. Although we always tell people that you can play with the figures that you have. If you have CAV figures and Battletech figures, they'll work with these rule sets. So don't worry. Don't feel like you have to buy our stuff, even though we'd like for you to buy our stuff. Because we like all those other systems too, And we know that money's tight. But
yeah, that's for damn certain right now.
But again, that's why we try to get the kids that come to the club to understand that there are alternatives to sourcing your figures. You don't have to buy the figures that GW says you have to buy.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Max. Hey, Baron.
Hey.
Oh. Baron pops in and then pops out.
That's weird.
Yeah, she's like, do you really want to embarrass yourself like that on your streams?
Six Nations, you are good. Yeah, that was a fun stream you put on for us there, Max. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
The thing is one, I don't care that much. Like, I know I'm a shitty singer, and if somebody wants to actually... I don't know, what would somebody do? You suck, man, that was so funny. Yep. Like, would you think you're gonna get me on that? I've heard myself. I know it's bad. So we're good. No, you don't understand. You were having a fun time and you were really horrible. Okay. And by the way, I'm basing that off what somebody did to me when I was at Ramstein one time. And so like, he's like, here, let me sing like you. Like, okay, go do it. I don't care. Like, I was drunk and I was doing karaoke. It's all good. But she's always worried because I'm a vain person. So she's always like, you embarrassed yourself. I'm like, no, I didn't. You just don't like to hear it. It's okay. I don't sing to you. But I had fun. I hope you guys had fun watching it.
Oh yeah,
Had a lot of fun.
that was a good time, Max.
Well,
if you can't do something to laugh at yourself with.
Oh, cry at myself too. Don't get me wrong. I don't go back and listen to them. It's the poor suckers who are going to be listening to it tomorrow or whatever. They're the ones. Why didn't you tell me you did that in your stream? Because surprise.
Nice.
That's so. Aside from all that, how are I've been talking to you for a little bit here, JP. Are you gaming in the next week?
Gaming this week?
Yeah, this next
in the next week.
Yes, sir.
I'm my hobby this month up until Origins consists of painting these and getting the diorama ready. So gaming, no. Hobbying, yes. So gaming adjacent, I guess you'd say.
Okay. Max, what are you doing this week?
Writing.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying because so I mean, obviously I've got my live stream on Sunday, but throughout the week things are changing with my job. I now have like 3 jobs instead of the one I'm supposed to have, and so I'm getting involved. So the whole wargaming thing I was talking about at the beginning of my stream, I'm actually somewhat joining the wargaming team. It seems like I have a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. So for those who don't know, I work in wargaming for the United States Air Force. And wargaming for the Air Force is not the same as making a war game for Parker Brothers or whatever. Even though it looks the same, you might look, you've got miniatures on a table and you're doing things. And no, there's a whole different. Let's put it like this: first thing they teach you is wargaming is not for fun; it's to solve a problem. Oh, so we can't have fun?
Yep.
But anyway, so I'm possibly getting involved in that. I might be learning how to become a programmer. So that's going to be, learn to code, baby. And then I've got my real job also. Other than that, I mean, because I have that weird focus on work, I'm just trying to write. I have so much to write, but man, I've been getting pages upon pages upon pages done. It's working. I'm not reinventing the wheel anymore. Like things are just falling into place. So it's writing and working is pretty much it. And anything else is graphics or more writing in order for me. I can't talk in order to do Legion of Myth stuff.
So when you say you're not reinventing the wheel, what did you find yourself spending time trying to reinvent the wheel for? Was it?
So a few things. One, I was trying to make my own system because I didn't want to copy anybody else. But
Right.
every time I was doing this, so how I was doing it is like, well, I like this system, but I think I can tweak it. I like that system. I think I can merge them together. Oh, I like that, things like that. And it wasn't working out as cleanly as I had hoped. I mean, let's be honest. Some of these game designers out there really know what they're doing. The other thing that I was working, so one could argue fifth, one could argue sixth, one could even argue seventh. I'm working on, well, let's do seven for a second. I'm working on my seventh different game to some degree. So I started saying, you know what? What if I do this? What if I do this differently? What if I reinvent the wheel here? I mean, one of the things I was reinventing the wheel on was I wanted to rewrite Palladium.
Okay.
And then I came to realize, well, two things. One, that's not the game that I want. Like, I have nothing against Palladium. We cover the crap out of it on our channel. But with one, Palladium not having an OGL, so there would definitely be legal issues, even though I was changing names. I don't have 8 attributes. I only had 7. But it was too close. There's no way that you could say, wouldn't even say inspired. There's no way you couldn't say I wasn't copying Palladium. And at first I was like, well, I don't care. I'm just going to keep moving forward with this and see what's up. And I've got probably about 300 pages written in that. But it wasn't coming together the way I wanted it to. So then I decided, well, here's what I'll do. I'll look at the Year Zero engine. By the way, this is number 7, 6 or 7. I'll look at the Year Zero engine games. And what I'll do is, there is an OGL for that, so I can or an SRD OGL. I can copy some of that, but I can still make it the way I want. I want skills to be handled a little differently. And then I died with scope creep. I must have typed 400 pages, none of which related to another. Vehicle combat didn't match space combat. Space combat didn't match personal combat because I kept over-editing and not paying attention. There are documents I wrote a year ago that are supposed to fit in here, and oh, apparently I already wrote that. Well, I just wrote it again. Well, which one do I like? You see where it's going. It's just chaos. So, because I didn't storyboard it,
Right.
I didn't script it. I tried creating my own system, then I tried creating my other own system, then I tried doing an old school, OSR style game, then I tried doing Palladium, then it's like, screw all that. With now what I'm doing, now let me be very clear where it's working so well for me, is I'm still using the Year Zero engine. I've still decided I'm going to make some tweaks to it, but that's all there. The tweaks are still within the scope of every Year Zero engine game. And I've just accepted that a couple of things I'm going to have to hand wave. So here's where I was stuck. Do you either of you two know the Year Zero engine?
Nope. Not
Okay.
me.
So I use the dice pool version of the Year Zero engine, which essentially is if you have, attributes of 1 to 5, you're rolling 1 to 5 dice. If you have skills of 1 to 5, you're rolling 1 to 5 dice. And if you have gear rating of 1 to 3, you're rolling 1 to 3 dice. So you could be rolling up to 10, 13 dice possibly.
Yeah.
And you're looking for 6s. Every 6 is a success. Well, if you're rolling 13 dice, now to be fair, that's maxed out. But if you're rolling 13 dice, you're pretty much guaranteed a success. I think it's like 96% or something like that. So now I wanted, and that's just a normal character. I wanted to add in things like cybernetics and magic and mutant powers and so forth. Well, I can't make those numbers bigger. And I've spent the last year trying to fight that system in order to get bigger numbers to work. And it just don't work. And I finally came to the realization that instead of fighting it, I'm just going to work within that system. A 5 strength simply means you're an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, what about a big cybernetic dude that's got a 5 strength? Guess what? He's got a 5 strength. That means he's a big cybernetic dude with a 5 strength. All it means is 5 dice. I don't care if you think it means he can lift 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds or 50 pounds. I don't give a damn. It just means he has 5 dice worth of strength and needs to roll 5 dice worth of strength. So some cyborg, this is a question that was asked me. So some cyborg is going to be, it can be equaled by somebody without cybernetics. Why would you do it? Maybe you need to. Maybe your character lost an arm. Maybe, does it really? Maybe you had a 3 strength and you want your strength to be 5. Does it matter? You have a 5 strength now. And I just came to that conclusion. You can describe it however the heck you want. I don't even care anymore. You know, if you don't like the fact that that a normal human can have a 5 strength and a cybered out human can have a 5 strength, well then cap them at 3. That's your game. I don't give a damn. But for me, it's 5 dice just means 5 dice. Because if I add any more dice in, it's pretty much just saying auto success. What the hell's the point? So
well, and describing the process or describing the effects, that's a narration issue for the GM to work out. Because 5 is 5, right? You know.
Right, exactly. Now, what does that 5 mean? Okay, so what if a guy with a 5 strength? So Bruce has got a 5 strength, and JP's got a cyborg with a 5 strength. Who's going to win the arm wrestling match? I don't know who rolls more successes. And I've had people say, well, you know, that might not work out because why would the guy take cybernetics? What's the point of cybernetics then? The point of cybernetics is to replace a broken limb. The point of cybernetics is to get secondary functions, which I'm not talking about here, that the person just with natural ability can't do. Yeah, it's not a superhero game. Stop thinking that. Yeah. So that's the thing that I've got to work through now, but it's working wonderfully. Every time I start getting that scope creep going on, I say, nope, 5 dice means 5 dice. 3 dice means 3 dice. That's it. That's where it's ending. It's not going any higher than that. And people are just going to, like you said, the game masters are going to have to just explain why that is. Well, maybe that person with the 5 strength, that's just a quote unquote natural human, is actually somebody who's got bio manipulation going on. Genetically built. He looks like an absolute crazy monster person, like the Incredible Hulk. I don't care why. So once I broke that code, which really wasn't breaking a code, it was just preventing scope creep, which was very, very, very difficult. Man, things are just flowing. And I probably shouldn't tell people what I'm doing here because it'd probably be easy to copy, but I'm just pretty much combining all of the Year Zero engine books into one, adding my own flavor into it, and saying go. I'm kind of making the riffs of Free League. Where it's like, oh, you want to play a shooty character? You can play a shooty character. You want to play something that you think is a superhero because you have some sort of weird mutant power? Great. There are mutant powers in the books. I'm copying those too. Rewording them. Also tweaking them to make them fit better for my vision, but you get what I'm saying. Like the stuff is already there. It's under SRD. It's under OGL.
Sure.
So I'm going to make it my own thing, but it's definitely going to be something that's familiar. There's cybernetics in the Coriolis book. There's armor in the Alien game. There's mutant powers in Mutant Year Zero. There's animal powers in Mutant Gen Lab Alpha. Hell, there are robots in Mutant Mechatron. I can pick all of these things to comb through and put it together into something that makes sense. All under the umbrella, and here's the fun part, because I'm making a pulp science fiction game. Big bubble helmets. The name of the game is like 17 words long. All the things that you think of from 1920s and 30s Buck Rogers type stuff, the movies from the 50s. Robots will look like men in suits. I mean, that's one of the things. You can only have one attribute that's a 5. Everything else is a 4. Well, how do I explain that? Easy. If you want a character that's strong, you got strong cybernetics, strong arms. We're going back to 1950s Hollywood type stuff. The actor couldn't even put his arm down by his side because the bulky cardboard that they put all around him made it look crazy big. The robot, if he wants to have the 5 strength, can't be dexterous. So yeah, that's so. What that's
smart.
Sorry, go ahead.
You can be smart, or you can be strong, or you can be good looking, but not all three.
Right. The good looking part, you could get biosculpting, sure. But at least to start the game, things can happen once the game started. But to start the game, you can only have one attribute that's a 5. My cat is tearing down my door. I'll be right back.
Thought I heard something over there.
Never trust anything that doesn't have a collarbone.
All right, sorry about that. He's a feral cat that we were domesticating, and we're doing a dang good job of it, but he doesn't like being locked up. So, and I had my door shut. Yeah. So what you're saying, you start with those maximum. Now, as the game goes on, you can do whatever. But the game also has critical injuries. That could be a good reason to have cybernetics. But I'm including cybernetics, magic, and mutations. And I don't care if you're playing an alien; that would just be considered a mutation. Or cybernetics, if you want to go that route. And they're all going to use the same pool of powers. The main difference is going to be, there'll be a couple exceptions to that, but the main difference is that cybernetics is affected by electromagnetic pulses. Magic is not. Mutations are affected by your own personal ability to activate them. And magic, well, it's kind of the same thing for magic. Magic has to be activated by you. So each one of them has a limitation.
Nice. So, how long before you think you're going to release that book, Max?
Well, playtest, I hope to have. The initial playtest, I hope to start doing early next year. When I say early, I mean January, February. My goal was the end of this year, but there is just so much writing to do, even to get the basics done. Because you have to understand that you could look at one of the Year Zero engine books and be like, dude, there are not a lot of words on those pages. Correct. But I'm combining a bunch of them into one. I'm enhancing a lot of the charts. So like in Mutant Year Zero, there are only 6 mishaps that you can have if you have a mishap to your mutant roll. Well, I'm going to go more the Forbidden Lands route with its D66, which is like percentile dice with 6-siders.
Double digits. Double digits.
Yeah, where it's going to have a lot more possibilities for mishaps. I mean, it's not easy to get a mishap, but if one happens, there are going to be a lot more unique things that can happen. So I'm expanding there. Plus, also, me and the pronoun thing, I'm not going to use the language that Year Zero engine uses. I'm writing this my way, which might be considered boring by some. It's just stereo instructions. Well, that's what a technical manual is. It's stereo instructions. So the narrative aspect of it will be where the narrative aspect needs to be, but the rules themselves need to be clear, concise, consistent, and accurate.
Started getting my hands sticky with glue.
Yeah.
That's the negative about these.
Oh, yeah. What kind of glue are you using?
It is an Arms Keeper.
Basically this stuff?
Yep. Same thing.
I tell you what I like. For polystyrene, for plastic, I like Tamiya extra thin. But they actually have a airbrush thinner, I think, that's the same stuff. It's only 2% different. It's like the MEK and the acetone are instead of like 50-50 or 51-49, it's like 47-48, something like that. So you can get more by that way than a $5 bottle that half an ounce or an ounce or whatever it is. So, but
holy crap! Did I really stop streaming an hour ago?
Yeah,
I think so.
Oh man. By the way,
Yeah.
I lost ad revenue on that one, but I think it's because of the thumbnail.
Lost ad revenue.
Well, they no ads. You know how YouTube is.
Well, are you affiliated on Twitch? Because I saw you stream over there as well.
I only do Twitch for the purposes of highlighting videos. I hate Twitch with a passion. And I don't even really need to do that for the Friday Chill stream. I kind of do it because there are a couple people over there who are paying backers, what they call subscribers on Twitch, and I don't feel like jilting them. But like on the RPG Digest stream on Sundays, I'm literally only on Twitch so that I don't have to download videos to edit them to upload them again. I can just do the highlight and export. It's so much faster.
Yeah, that's where I usually do my paint streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Is Twitch.
Okay.
So.
I avoid it as much as I can, but you know, I shout people's channels out, so feel free to remind me when I'm streaming.
Sure. Well, what it is I was originally wanting to do produced videos, you know, like I've got a video in the can right now. Well, I've got the raw footage, I should say, of doing Team Yankee on the cheap, where I show basically how you can get Revell 1/100 scale models for about half the price of what Battlefront sells their resin stuff for. Whole long story there, but I call that video how to play Team Yankee on the cheap. So I need to do some B-roll, basically narration type stuff.
Oh, you're going all out with that.
Well, yeah, and editing and everything. So for me, I was gonna do a lot of YouTube. I wanted to do YouTube videos that way, but then I'm sitting there thinking that's a lot of work, and I work 40, 50, 60 hours, and sometimes I have to go out of town on short notice to do troubleshoots and projects and whatnot. And so I figured Twitch was really a better option for me right now. And I can just hop on there, turn the camera on, paint for, you know, my Tuesday night stream is 2 hours and my Thursday night stream is 4 hours.
I mean, you could do the same on YouTube. I mean, I really don't have a preference when it comes to that, but that's what I figured. Like, I don't do enough videos, like direct to video things, because just again, the way I do it is I fully script them out. You can tell. I mean, people have commented on it. It's like, wow, Max must have scripted that. He doesn't sound the same, but yeah, it takes for me. It takes a couple of days to write a script because I need to make sure it's right. I need to put my eyes on it the next day. I have to step by step make sure I get the process perfect. What's great about a live stream is if I make a mistake, somebody in chat just corrects me, or I've got Heathen Dog to bounce things off of, you know, whatever.
Right.
So you know what? It's more of a conversation. It's so much easier. But a direct to video,
yeah,
I've got a bunch out there. Those things take me days to get 1 20-minute video out.
Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
So I just
that's the thing is,
live stream.
like you were saying, is live streaming. I just turn it on and do the thing, and I'm not having to worry about, you know, music and sound effects and editing and I'd like to do some little talks on game design and various things. And
Baron, you've watched my live streams. You know that, one, I can tangent myself, and two, I'll forget what I really wanted to say. There's always like a point that I really want to make in certain sections, and I'll forget it. So I'll have a video that'll be 30 minutes of me only talking about 10 minutes worth of stuff, even if I do bullet points. So bullet points are great for me if I'm doing an extemporaneous speech, but they're not good for me when I want to do a YouTube video that I wanted to say exactly what I wanted to say. So I script it word for word. I have most of my script still written. You know, I make the font really big so I can read it. I have it only at the top of my page, so I'm not looking at the bottom of my screen. You know, you can still see I'm reading a script, but I try to do things that you know, make it not look so scripty. But yeah, I'll have like a 20-page script. Well, again, remember I increased the font pretty big, but so yeah, a 10-minute video probably takes me 2 to 3 days to script. It's not too much more for a
Mhm.
20-minute video because it's really the script that takes most of the time. The video editing itself is what it is. And then I probably on the video edit side, I spend more time trying to figure out what freaking music I'm going to put in the background and why the levels aren't right than anything else.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, normalization, sound normalization is a big issue. People don't realize, if your video is a little, maybe not 1080, maybe you're 740 or whatever it is, and maybe you don't have the best video. Maybe you got a potato camera. If your sound is good, people will tend to forgive that.
I absolutely
But if you
love the
have
fact
bad
that you
sound,
just said that. Trying to tell people that, convince people that, especially new people, and like, but I got good video. Doesn't matter. Your audio is hot garbage, and the thing is audio is sensitive to so many things. Like, look, love him or hate him, Shadow and Son, when he pops in, sometimes he sounds like Rice Krispies, and I'll be like, dude, I can't have that. He's got his dog barking in the background or something. And, for a small time, I get it. I understand it's a live stream. We look a little casual and so forth, but some of that stuff is distracting,
Sure.
or people will complain. They'll be like, hey, this microphone sounds like, it's like, what's his name? Mr. Max Pavone, when he was in at the stream today at the beginning of it, and his audio was off. And man, it's not that I dislike the guy. Obviously, that's not true. But and he didn't know. He's been doing a lot of testing, but it's like, that's got to get fixed. And I would want you to do the same thing.
Yeah,
If I'm
sure.
coming in here sounding like a robot or all tinny or something's really weird, it's like, Max, fix your damn audio. Okay. Because you're 100% right. Audio will push people away from a video before the video will push people away from a video.
That's correct.
Yep. Well, and the thing is most people consume their videos on a phone, so their screen, they're looking at a 2-inch by 3.5-inch picture anyway. So any discrepancy in the video is not really going to be picked up by the human eyeball.
The other thing is there are people like me. I watch a video. I look for the longest video I can find on a subject, depending on who it is, because I don't like finding a new video every 15 minutes because I actually have the video playing on another monitor here. Bruce's 8-hour streams would be great for me if his freaking people weren't animals on his game. I mean, but that's the audio thing. And let's not even talk about the misophonia side of it. I mean, you got somebody, what was he, like sanding some shit? Another guy's got a dog barking all over the place. He's like, what's going on here?
No. Let me open up this bag of Doritos real quick.
Uh-oh. Yeah, right in the microphone. It's like, mute. What? It's like, oh, have some self-awareness. But yeah, is like, I like to watch long videos, but have them on my other monitor here. So if I feel like looking over, I can, but I'm working on this one, working on some graphics. I'm working on, some research, whatever. Who cares what I'm working? I'm working on watching Bruce. I don't know. But yeah, it allows me to just listen while I'm doing something else. So I don't even pay attention to it. So again, video a lot of times might not even be necessary.
Yep.
Title must
I
contain
try to
Mars
find
sponsor.
long videos that I can listen to while I work, but everybody wants to get that 10-minute, that 10-minute sweet spot, so you listen to some little documentary or something, some little historical channel, and they've got it whittled down to where they can do their whole presentation in 10 to 15 minutes, and then the app's like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm supposed to play to the next video, and it's like, yeah, I've been sitting here having dead air for the last 20 minutes while I'm working on this thing.
That
Always
10-minute sweet spot is still true, but there are it's not as true as it once was. In fact, they used to say that don't ever do live streams, that YouTube hates live streams. I mean, I'm a small channel. You don't judge anything based on my channel, but from my experience, my live streams do better than my videos.
Huh.
I'm thinking,
interesting.
Like
good
most videos you guys are talking about are like 10 minutes long, and I like a video that's like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I want a 2-hour video.
Okay.
Because that gets enough to where, to me, that's the sweet spot for YouTube. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think 2 hours is about right.
Oh, here we go. I haven't decided, and a lot of these I have arrows pointing to other words to see how to rearrange this stuff. But if you guys want to know the thoughts or the notes that I have for naming my game, because was it Vanoni said title must contain Mars wants Earth women. Here are just some things that I put out there: flying saucers from outer space. Daring Adventures from Outer Space, Thrilling Tales from Outer Space, Thrilling Tales of Daring Adventures from Outer Space, or Thrilling Tales of Daring Adventures from Beyond the Stars, Thrilling Tales of Daring Adventures from Beyond the Edge of the Universe, Adventures in the... Oh, no, I have that written down as a supplement if I ever get that far. Hold on, I got another page, apparently. You scroll to the other page. Uh-oh. That's an empty page. That didn't tell me shit. I have an arrow going to another page that is completely blank, so never mind. But yeah, the Omega mutation, and I have that written down as either a supplement or an adventure. Cosmic Raiders from the Interstellar Void. That's a campaign setting. Like, you get the idea of what I'm doing here, right? So yeah, I want my title to be as long as possible, because that's what the pulpy things. I thought I had more written down than this. Yes, I did not. Was that Tales of a Daring? What I already closed it, but yeah, I really want that pulpy feel, but I want you to be able to play the game in any style you want. You want to play a Star Wars game? You can do it. You want to play a Battlestar Galactica game? You can do it. You want to play a Palladium Rifts game just with these rules? You know what I mean? There's already Savage Rifts. Why not Free League Rifts? You can do it. You can do what you want, but I'm setting the core up as being pulpy.
Fair enough. Whenever you are streaming on Sunday, does it take a while to get Heathen Dog in the zone to do that and finish up as, Ye Man who gathers super chats?
No. I mean, he jumps in, usually ready to go. I think the only thing, I mean, I don't have any issues, but the only thing that sometimes, I don't even want to say frustrates me, but he doesn't see chat as important as I do. So he'll grab 3. If you notice that when we grab chats, he'll grab like 3. I'll grab 10. Things like that. He also, again, I'm speaking for me, not for him, so he could always counter this, but I think he thinks that some of the questions and comments are nonsensical. Like even when we have comments, we'll be like, "Hey, this guy's got a question for you," and he'll be like, "That's a stupid question." Okay, can you answer it? No, I don't feel like it. Yeah. He doesn't do that a lot. I want to be very clear. He doesn't do that a lot, but So, without digging up dirt, he and I had a major disagreement recently over that whole nonsense that happened between the basic expert, RPGs, dumb, crafty, and so forth. Because Heathen Dog's
who you made a video for?
The one that's titled Wrong?
Yeah.
That was to tell people to get me the fuck out of it. Stop trying to drag me into it. Because people are like, Max, you got to comment on this. Max, you got to say it. Like, no, I don't. But because, look, it's the internet. And this is the thing that I think some people need to learn. And I don't want to say that Heathen Dog needs to learn this because I just don't think he cares, like for him. The internet is not a place for white knighting. No matter what, I used to be this way. I will only tell the truth, and I'll only be honorable, and I'll only type in full sentences, and I'll only treat the internet as a professional play, whatever you might want to think. That's just not what the internet is. The internet's for porn and trolling people. And it took me a long time because I hated all that stuff. The internet is a cesspool of BS. And no, I'm not saying I lie on my streams. The point that I'm making is that it's honestly the internet can be a shitty place to be, right? So it took me years to get used to that, but especially with streaming, especially with having a YouTube channel, I've learned that, like I was talking about on my stream, if I want people to watch my videos, I got to scream. If I want And it's a sad state of affairs, and that I'm catering to. Let's be honest. So when the stuff with RPG is dumb and so forth happened, I looked at it. I'm like, this is just internet drama that people took to the nth degree. Yes, what happened did potentially affect somebody in real life, like to a very, let's say, disastrous point. Something that could have been really, really bad for the person in real life. Because it got out of hand. Heathen Dog basically is like, I'm blocking everybody. I'm out. I'm like, will you at least hear? No, and stop talking about it. Now, this is my business. You're not going to tell me what the fuck I can talk about on my business. But that's how adamant he was about that situation. He won't hear it out. He will not accept the fact that the internet's just a shitty place where people do shitty things, and sometimes both sides go too far. And yes, well, the person in question is friends with the person who caused most of the problems. He wasn't the person that did cause most of the problems. And he's just like, I don't care. So he kind of played that guilt by association game that I didn't like. Now, I'm not going to tell Heathen Dog what to do. He can allow people in his life and block them from his life as he sees fit. That's what it is. But I do personally, and you know what, this is, going to be on stream, so if somebody's going to hear this later on, probably send it to him, whatever. But I do think that it was childish. No, I'm not going to do it. But he has the right to do that. So I mean, I can't tell him who he's allowed to, have, infecting his space, so to speak, right? I just think that without talking to the person, but that's a disagreement. And the reason that disagreement exists, because I can tell you, is people who knew me back maybe 10 years ago would be like, that was you 10 years ago. You're right. It was me 10 years ago. I blocked a lot of people. I would only accept people who talked and acted a certain way. Hacker speak, if you start doing hacker speak stuff, I blocked you instantly. I didn't even care. It's just one of those things where I had to learn that the internet is like DM James says, the majority of people on the internet are evil. I don't know about evil. That might be right, but it's definitely a place for, the dregs of society, and you got to find the good stuff. And I think some people are still stuck in this mindset. No, there's still hope for the internet. No, there's not. You're either doing a research paper or you're an asshole. Which one is it?
For me,
it's both.
yeah, it's both. I use the internet for a lot of things. One thing I really like doing.
I don't know, man. I just come here for the cat pictures. I just come here for the cat videos.
Okay.
I want to see Diversity and Dragons just lose their shit over one of the older JSG videos.
Why is it? Hey, Cal, you have a good night. Why is that?
Yeah. Take care, buddy.
See, Green Apple says, I'm here for the porn and to watch people talk about games, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to say it. Again, to be very clear, people it's not just Heathen, but people like Heathen are absolutely allowed to block and have whatever's in their life that they want. That's but this notion that the internet should be a place where we all act like human beings, I don't know what to tell you. I think maybe the internet is the rawest form of human being, but I can't block people that say poo-poo words. Like I just can't, because that's the entire internet. Well, then I'll block the entire internet. Okay, and there are some people out there who do that. Bruce, you and I know one who's like that. He'll block everybody. Okay, block everybody you want. Can't stop you.
That's your solution. Go ahead.
I can still think it's childish, though. Is it childish what people are doing to cause you to block them? That's also true. Two people can be childish. But I wish the internet was just for cat videos and research papers. But that's, I wouldn't make any money then, although I do have 3 cats, so maybe I would. And if you look at what people watch the freaking drama. It's like, going down the road and there's somebody's pulled over. Why is everybody slowing down? The cop already has somebody pulled over. As long as you're not driving completely recklessly, you can speed 5 to 10 miles an hour in the speed limit. No, they're trying to see if they know the person or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, what? I don't care. Cops got somebody pulled over. Keep driving. They're like, looking over. What are you looking for? I don't get it. But my wife watches, reality TV, Kardashians, or whatever the hell that nonsense is, and that's the stuff that people watch. It's weird.
The Dungeon Master James, if you want in here, you can have a spot with us if you want.
Yeah, I actually wasn't even talking about Shauner either. Shauner unblocked most people. I'm sure there's still a few that's blocked. Maybe we're all blocked again. I don't know.
I have no idea. I like Shauner. Because whenever he's on a live stream with you, he's actually pretty personable. Didn't really appreciate the dogging of my channel, but whatever.
He's doing it to everybody.
Yeah. DM James is saying, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I should probably do that. We're coming up on midnight here, but I wanted to hang out with a little bit here because you're always hanging out with me, so I figured I'd
appreciate that.
Take a few minutes to hang out over this way. Meet JP. I've never met him before, although thanks for being in the stream today. Appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously. This is my first
yeah,
time
you're
talking to him.
welcome. I catch your stuff from time to time, and like I'll just listen to this guy tonight, and let's see. I've been on. I've watched your videos from time to time, and of course, I see your auto tweets come through, and
you'll know I'm actually on Twitter if you see me retweet somebody or quote tweet somebody. Other than that, yeah, I'm not there. In fact, I missed something from Inappropriate Characters. Offered me to join the show last week. And I'm pretty sure it was Job that sent the message out. But either way, I mean, I felt that was awesome. Like, thanks, guys. I mean, unfortunately, it was too short notice, and I wouldn't bail on them for somebody, for a channel that had 100,000 subscribers after agreeing to be on that show. So I was already projected to be on another show, and I wasn't gonna bail on that person just to be on Inappropriate Characters.
Sure.
I hopefully people see that as a respectful thing, but I'd love to be on sometime in the future if they think that I can add benefit. But
that's the thing. You got to keep your word to the people you make the promise to first.
I will always say this. I might be an asshole. I try not to be, but to some people I might be an asshole, but I try not to be a hypocrite. And depending on how pedantic you get, we're all hypocrites at some point or another. But I'm talking on a consistent basis or on things that really matter. I don't want to be a hypocrite. And if I give you my word that I'm going to be on your show, barring death, maiming, illness, whatever, I'm going to be on your show. And just because somebody bigger comes along, I'm not gonna jump.
Yeah.
You'd argue that that's bad for my channel, but I think that's good for me as a human. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like I said, you give you're only as good as your word. You give your word to the first person, and then if something else comes up, it's like, well, I've already given my word to somebody else. So,
yeah, like Janet asked me to go with her and her sister on stream about 30 minutes ago. Like, babe, I'm already streaming right now. Sorry.
I think you and Janet have a really good dynamic. I like watching. I don't get to catch them all, but I do like watching you guys.
She's a really good friend of mine. She feels like she's like a long friend. Like I've known her for years, which is great. The wife absolutely just adores the shit out of her, so I'm pretty happy about that because
Cool.
Those two get along well. And then they had their first discussion last week on stream together, so I was pretty happy they get along well. And my wife loves the fact that I do a stream with her. She's like, well, you got a lady on there that she puts her opinion out there, and I just love girl power. So
I like how passionate she is. Even like when we disagreed vehemently on that Dungeons and Dragons movie nonsense, I like the fact that one, she speaks her mind and she speaks it well.
yes,
that she's got a childlike passion, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that she has it. We'll maybe call it an innocent passion about stuff, which
Yes.
for something that I look at as being part of the dirty, grungy culture war drives me fucking crazy. But the fact that she can come into it with, we'll say, no, not naive. Naive means that there's a problem. I'll just again say that those innocent eyes, I think, is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She definitely has the entire noob mentality to it. But she was telling me the other day, she's like, ever since I was in middle school, I've wanted to play this game. I've wanted to play a game with people that I enjoyed playing a game with, and I never could because I was always on the move. When you're an Air Force brat, you don't get a chance to say when you're moving, when you're not. Daddy gets PCS once a year, so you're going somewhere.
Once a year, Jesus.
The
Even
guy
officers are every 2 years.
back in the 70s, it was a little different.
Okay.
And that the 60s and 70s is when he was, and he was also he ended up doing survival training stuff.
Okay. Did I ever tell you about me refusing to go to SEER training?
No, this has got to be good though.
Nah, it's not that good. I refused to. They did threaten to. What did they threaten? They didn't threaten to kick me out. Threatened to do. I don't know. They threatened something. I remember being threatened. Anyway, they had this weird thing, and it was just a blip on the radar. It didn't last long. Where they're like, everybody who's combat camera has to go to SEER training. Well, I wasn't officially combat camera. We had to go through all the combat camera nonsense because we're the backup to combat camera, but we didn't have to actually get deployed in dumb places and so forth. And they're like, nope, everybody's got to go. I'm like, well, what if you were going to do aircraft photography? I'm like, I'm not a photographer. I'm a graphic artist. I also have eyes that, look, dude, if the sun hits my eyes the right way, I'm going to put a hole in the pilot's head. Like, I'm going to burn him like an ant. Like, what the hell? They're like, well, everybody's got to go. I'm like, I'm not going to SEER training. Like, I thought you were into this stuff. I said, I'm into everything except for killing the rabbit. Like, what? That's what gets you. Yeah, as long as I know that there's a fucking grocery store, I don't hunt. I don't believe in killing animals. Yes, I eat meat. I'm not against eating meat, and I'm not against hunting, and it's just, I'm not going to do it myself. And you can call me hypocritical all you fucking want on that one. I don't like to kill animals, okay? They're farmers that do that for me. That's their job. Good on them. And anyway, they're like, it's just a rabbit. I'm like, dude, to me, it's not just a rabbit, okay? Again, if it's me or the rabbit, I'm going to live. It's going to die. But I know that no matter what, the government can't let me die. So that means I know that there's a grocery store or a chow hall around there somewhere. They'll have to give me an IV if nothing else. I'm not killing and skinning a fucking rabbit. And they're like, this could hurt your career. Do what you got to do. You're going to hurt your career over a rabbit? Yes. Yes, I am. I went hunting as a kid. I know I don't like it. I worked on a farm. I saw chickens get their heads cut off. I didn't like it. No, I'm not going to do that. The fact that those things happen, I understand, are part of nature. They must exist. I eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I know where it comes from. I'm not going to do it myself. That simple. Oh.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm not a big hunter. I'll fish all day, but hunting just for me is like, no, the fish don't really seem to care.
Well, I've had people tell me that fish don't have nerves or some shit. I'm like, look, fishing is just boring to me. I'm from Minnesota.
No.
I'm like the only Minnesotan that does not fish, hunt, or ski. Now I live in Alabama. It's too hot to fish, hunt, or ski.
Man, it was 91 degrees yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this yet.
Neither am I.
Really don't want to do this.
Like Six Nation 31 King says here, know your limitations. Right. That's the thing. I mean, people, I had an fucking vegetarian girlfriend go all, you're just a hypocrite. You can't kill the animal, but you'll eat it. I'm like, there are a lot of things. I can't fix my car, but I still drive it. Like what else you want? Like, there are things I can do in life. There are some things I can't do in life or don't want to do in life. Believe me, if this was a post-apocalyptic world and one of these cats that run through my yard out there comes running through, I got a 9mm. I will put a hole in a cat to eat that thing to survive. Outside of that, no. There's a grocery store. I get paid well enough to go to the grocery store. That's where I'm going.
Just remember, cat liver is toxic, so don't eat it.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
I've
Put that in
never
your
been tempted with cat liver.
with your survival your I did put that in your school folder of memories there.
I would probably want to just rip out all the guts. Like, I'll to be honest, I probably don't know or remember how to skin a deer properly. I'm pretty sure I don't. I'll just say I'll just go out, not even go out on a limb. I'm just going to say I don't know how to skin a deer anymore. I used to, but I haven't done it since I was a kid.
Sure.
I haven't butchered anything in over 10 years. I feel like I've let that part of me atrophy.
Is it important to you? If it is, hey, you know, you could always go hunting. You could probably go to a butcher shop. I mean, I don't know how they are down here, but up where I was from, butchers were always looking for people, especially during deer hunting season.
You know, that's actually
they do have
McDonald's
processing
does.
services. There are processing services you can use for after you harvest your deer, so that you don't have to do it. But it's,
There's in my hometown in Minnesota, there's a meat market called Brian's. Brian's Meat Market that absolutely amazing. I don't know if it's still in business. I haven't lived in Minnesota in a long time. You go up there and
you haven't lived in
practice my
Minnesota
Uper.
since you moved out.
Well, yeah, I joined the Air Force in '92, and I moved back after I got out of the Air Force for a short time. But I think the last time I lived in Minnesota was 2003. Was it 2003? No, I actually went back even after that job. So 2004 is the last time I lived in Minnesota. I've even only visited a couple times since then. I'm really hoping. So the government is supposed to give us a bonus in pay this year for my career, basically for IT folks, and that would be like an $18,000 bump for me. Which would be freaking awesome. Because this PCS from Germany to here has been literally the worst thing that's probably ever happened in my life. My mom would like me to come home, and I'd like to also because I turned 50 this year, and I haven't seen my mom in a few years. She turned 72 just a couple of weeks after me, after I turned 50. So it'd be cool to be there for both of our birthdays this time. And yeah, but if I don't get that, well, or at least know that it's coming. It's been passed by Congress, but that doesn't mean anything. A lot of things get passed by Congress and you don't see it. So, I have to know that it's actually coming.
Sure.
But the Air Force cost me $30,000 in this move, and luckily I had that plus more. But yeah, this hasn't been fun. Ever since they kicked me out of Germany.
I would be butthurt about that still.
Well, I mean, it's government, man. Like the actual thing that bothered me the most, I think I accidentally deleted the email, so I can't even fight it now. And I don't know why I would have deleted. I remember deleting my emails, like having I had like over 1,000 unread emails. It's like I need to clean some of these out, and I think this email that I saved that I was going to go to the IG on, Inspector General. Yeah, I think I deleted the fucking thing. And what it goes like this exemplifies. This is not the only thing that happened by any stretch of the imagination, but it completely exemplifies what happened in this PCS. I was like, hey, I need tickets to fly back to the States. And like, oh, you got to ride the cattle car. I'm like, that's fine. I'll ride the government cattle car. Like, okay, fill out this form. So I fill out the form, and on the form includes animals. I'm like, well, I have 2 cats. So I had to measure their carriers and so on and so forth. And when you ride the cattle car, well, the government doesn't pay to transport your cats or your dogs, which I get. So each cat would have cost me about $200. So we'll say 250 because there's a little flexibility in there. So say $500 total. Okay. Just remember that number, $500. So I fill out the form. Time goes on. I'm getting close to my PC. I was like, hey, what's going on here? Like, oh, you need to go to Sato. Sato? The hell am I going to Sato for? Yeah, well, you're civilians. So you go to Sato for your tickets. I'm like,
True.
that's weird, but okay. So I went to Sato. I said, hey, need a ticket for this, going to be working in the States. All right, well, here's your itinerary. Great. Cool. I'm like, wait a second. This doesn't have me on the cattle car. Right. But I'm supposed to be on the cattle car. They're like, you'll have to talk to the PAX terminal about that. God damn it. All right. So I go back and I talk to the PAX terminal. Like, hey, when I filled that paperwork, what's going on here? Crickets. We're getting really close to PCS time. I've got to get my cats handled. And finally, I'm like, hey, somebody over there needs to tell me what's going on. Like, oh, well, we're not putting you on the cattle car because you wanted to leave on this date. And the cattle car doesn't leave that day. I'm like, who cares? The JTR, the Joint Travel Regulation, gives a plus or minus 10-day grace period. So I can leave 10 days earlier, 10 days later. Put me on the cattle car. No. Fine. Fuck it. So I did all the stuff I need to do. It's like, I need to ship my cats. And Germany was like, we need your tickets. I'm like, I don't have full on tickets. I only have an itinerary. No, we need your tickets. Fucking balls. Contact Sato. Sato, I need my tickets. We can't give those out more than a week in advance. What? So I had to send my cats back to the United States under expedited conditions, which ended up costing me $5,314. Should never have cost that. The Air Force basically cost me $5,000 that isn't going to be reimbursed because it's cats, and $5,000 when it should have cost me $500. And I saved the email because I responded back to the guy. I said to the PAX, I said, hey, this just happened. Cost me $5,000, $5,314 for me to send my cats out here when it would have cost me between $400 and $500 for me to do to take the cattle car. All this because you didn't want to change my date. And he's like, yeah, it sucks to be you. So I saved that email because I was going to go to the IG app because there are a whole bunch of other complaints I had. That one being, to me, the most egregious one. I mean, there's a couple others, like a couple things they put on my orders saying you'll get reimbursed for this, you'll get reimbursed for that. And as soon as I got here, they're like, no. I mean, no, it's on my orders. You can't legally be reimbursed for that. Why not? Because you didn't qualify. Well, then you shouldn't have put it on my orders in the first place, dicks. So anyway, it ended up costing me $30,000 out of my own money. That's even including what the Air Force paid. Okay, it's more like around $28,000, but whatever. That includes what the Air Force paid me, reimbursed me on, out of my own pocket. And yes, I had the money because I used to be in personal finance. I know how to save money when I make enough to save, and yeah. But I don't know how many people that have $30,000 just laying around. So,
PCS and transfer duty is not a thing. Would you still recommend military service to a younger relative or friend nowadays?
That's a tough one, and I mean that.
I know. Thank you, General Milley, you piece of shit.
I want to say yes. And it'd be for a certain type of person. I'm not talking poor or whatever. You obviously have your patriotic types. I would say people that want to join, as long as they don't do it just for this, but they use this as a benefit for it, that want to go to college, that want to just get some discipline. I can tell that's a hard thing as a child because you don't see it, you don't understand it. But looking back at it, yeah, even the Air Force gave me discipline that I needed. But man, there are things that are changing in ways that, you saw some of the videos, Bruce.
Yep.
I've got people putting pronouns in emails. Sorry, go ahead.
the the new advertisements. You know, when I was a kid, it was get a start on life in the army, you know, or
Yep.
be
Be all that
all
you
that you
can
can
be.
be, right?
Yep.
Right, and now it's I don't remember I don't remember the character's name in the animated little thing, but Lisa has from two mommies, and
Yep.
she has always been an activist. What has that got to do with eating dirt and bugs while, you know, crawling face down in a, in a across a muddy field, trying not to get your head shot off? You know, I thought that the military was about fighting, killing, and breaking things, not
Should be.
not touchy-feely, warm fuzzies and identity politics. I mean, people can have their identities all they want, but when it starts getting in the way of national defense, I think that's a problem.
Recruitment's a pain in the butt, and that's why it was so funny when we talked about that for the war game this week, because I mentioned actually, Bruce, that live stream that you were on to the instructor. I said, you know, it's funny because we watched
Yeah.
the American the Air Force special operations. We're not just talking a generic Air Force thing, but the Air Force special operations boring ass lady. We looked at the Australian, we looked at the British, and we looked at the Chinese. And I said, when we were done with that, we were all ready to sign up for China.
Yeah.
I mean, rock music going through, you know, boots walking through the water, you know, the splash in the water with a tank following. You're like, oh, cool, let's do this. Let's go, you know, because
they're out in the snow, out in there with no shirt on.
What? Yeah, all the testosterone laden stuff, right? Yeah, and you know, the Air Force is like, we like to talk with people, and oh my God, lady, you're boring. But yeah, there's something I was going to say on top of that. I met. Do you remember the Marine commercial where he slayed the dragon?
Yeah.
I met that guy. I met that guy when I worked for the Marines, and he was an asshole. He was a staff secretary. He replaced whoever the original staff secretary was. And for people who don't know what that means, that's like half executive and half protocol. Like the Marine staff secretary position was a little weird for me, but yeah, he was a dick, man.
Yeah,
like,
Six Nation says the commercials back in the 1980s were motivational, and you could have that song in your head stuck all day, and it was constructive.
We do more by 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Great fucking video. Great
That's great. That's the punchline on that commercial is hilarious though, because you got the guy, you got the soldier, you're going, "Good morning, Sergeant." You know what the sergeant's gonna say? Yeah, real good morning.
I hear "Good morning, Sergeant," and I just hear "Up to the sky." The Private Potato from Angry Cops.
yeah. Oh, Angry Cops.
Him.
Yeah, I look. So to answer your question, Bruce, I don't know. I don't know. I want to say yes. I want to still have faith, but I can't have faith until this culture war pushes back. Maybe we'll see what happens if we get a new president.
I'm praying for that.
But if you know anything about the military, you know that once a path is started, it's hard to pull them off it. And I'm telling you, the Air Force tongue and quill already talks about how you put in, that's basically the Air Force style guide for writing, how you can put in your pronouns in your bios. I mean, there's one person I work with who says she has a brother, sister, and a sibling. I'm like, what the fuck is the difference? Oh, apparently the sibling is a they.
Oh, God. It's a they, huh? That sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, we're going to get religious for a second. I believe that the pronoun thing is like what James was saying earlier, where you have people that their wokeism is their spiritual belief. and you start trouncing on that. You start making your statements on that, and that's when you start getting like just completely canceled. Just they take you out, and you're never heard from again. You're not part of a special stream, or they won't talk. You won't be talked about again. You're canceled. And these people are so dead set on trying to push and advocate their agenda, and that is kind of scary because the agenda they have isn't healthy for anybody, not a person across country, not a person across town.
Thing is that they won't give up though, and even if we win now, what's going to happen, and this happens in typical conservative, and this is what kills me about conservatives, and I will actually say, as you're talking about being religious, I'm going to say there's one thing good about the religious right, and pardon me if you are religious, it's just not my thing, is that the religious right stands by its morals. Now, you could argue that a lot of churches are changing. The Methodist Church, the Presbyterian churches have all gone fucking off the deep end. Whatever. I'm not getting into that. Just in a general level, they're still saying no gay marriage, even though that's, sorry, you've lost that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most conservatives, what's going to happen is we're going to push back. We're going to start to win. Maybe we'll even win. Maybe we'll get gender mutilation no longer acceptable. We're never going to win the pronoun thing. Sorry, guys, but no matter even how I fight it, we are not going to win that one. The normies have caved in with most of that as well. Now, it might not be as prevalent as it's being advertised now, but that pronoun stuff is stuck with us. That's just a new norm. But we accept shit like that. They'll be like, you know what? We finally come to a détente. We finally come to a place where, yeah, sure, they had to give a little, but isn't that what life's about? Compromise. And what's going to do is they're just going to be at it again. They'll wait another 5 years, 10 years, and they're just going to hit it again. And then they're going to win a little more. And it's one of the things, you can't see my hands because I've got, don't have my camera on, but I've been saying this for years, and this is really what caused me to have a line in the sand. What caused me to no more capitulation, no more compromise, is because I started to notice a bunch of years ago that, wait a second, every time conservatives compromise, I don't even call them liberals. The crazies don't even have to win 100%. They only need to win 50%.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to, in another 10 years, they're going to get another 50%. In another 10 years, they're going to get another 50%. It went from, promiscuity and free, or women's rights to promiscuity to the pill. Well, that really was what brought promiscuity to swingers, to gay rights, to transgender. You can just follow the path. Now, is some of that necessarily inherently evil? Well, that's up to you. My grandparents would say it's all evil. I say one or two of those things is evil, because I was raised in a different type of society. 50 years from now, society is going to be different, and they're going to look at what we did as being closed-minded and, wow, could you believe they didn't like pronouns and blah, 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 even though we think it's weird as shit right now. That's because conservatives always sit back and say, whew, good job, guys. We compromised. We held them back. No, you didn't. You fucking compromised on bullshit. Really, did it matter? Yeah, it mattered, because what's going to happen now is, I don't care if you believe in slippery slopes or not, but it's either going to be the slippery fast slope, the avalanche, or it's going to be the slippery slow slope that you don't realize that, because you need a dwarf to detect slope and grade and passage to see if you're going fucking downhill.
Yeah. It's a neat ability for dwarves, by the way.
You like that reference?
I love that reference.
That was great. That was always work it in there. Nice.
But it's just, and I'm not. I'm more libertarian, even though libertarians hate me because I'm hawkish. But I'm more libertarian than I am, neocon Republican. I do have a couple of neocon Republican things in me because I believe that by being fully libertarian, you normalize things that shouldn't be normalized. There's a difference between tolerance and acceptance. I don't like the religious right because it just makes everything to be horrible when it doesn't necessarily be horrible. I'm sorry, I'm not going to walk in lockstep with your religion because the guy next to me has a different religion who says I have to walk in lockstep with his religion. It's like, with that said, though, at least there's a moral foundation there. At least you hope most of them, ones I talk to anyway, are looking to have that moral authority that we cling to, and I actually agree with that. Whether it's God, common sense, the Constitution, whatever, I agree with that. Modern people are like, there's no moral authority but my own, and I completely disagree with that. But we're going to capitulate. We're going to give into it.
I want to put the building aside for a while because I'm tired of messing with this thing. I think this might be a model kit that I mess with for about an hour and a half each night until I get it fixed.
What kind of building is it?
Yeah.
I really like that little spaceship, though. This isn't bad. I'm just not used to the style of building they have here. I'm really not liking it too well, but this was free, so thank you, estate sale.
Well, those are kind of not really meant to be built in big buildings. Generally, you can, but they usually are for doing ruins. So
Green
that's
Apple.
that was the iteration before that. That was the iteration of the ruins before those building sets came out right there. So, like I said, I have quite a depth of kits at my disposal here. My spare room looks like a hobby store blew up. But yeah, those you can get a lot out of those kits if you're just doing corners and kind of ruin each sort of things. They can be. There are people that have built really great, big, huge, just huge buildings out of those.
And have multiple building kits. That'd be badass.
Yeah. And then if you ever run across the Pegasus Hobbies Gothic building kits, you can add those to them, and it just chef's kiss. It's pretty wonderful.
Nice. I've actually seen Pegasus kits on Reddit before.
Yeah.
Not that I like to go to Reddit that much, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Before I started streaming, I pretty much I didn't have much in the way. I had a personal Facebook for friends and family and personal Instagram, but now I've got I had to step up my socials game to support my stream, which is there to support my hobby to some extent. And anyhow, I always thought that Twitter was a cesspool, and it is. Now I'm like, well, okay, Twitter's not so bad. I use it for what I need to use it for. And I'm like, well, Reddit's a cesspool, so it's just a matter of time before I start using Reddit. Probably. We always wind up in the things we don't want. It's the old tar pit,
The Brea tar pits. I haven't heard a reference to those in a while.
So that is pretty well coming along. I got to do some weathering on it, I think. But I think that's going to be about as far as I'm going to go for tonight. Weathering. So I've got a lighter color blue. So I'm kind of doing some highlights here. Down on the feet, I'm going to be doing a lot of weathering, doing some chipping up here around this. Some smoke. Do the barrels. Do some bare metal on the barrels here. Retouch up the jump jet nozzles on the back. So that is that's the big one. And he's got his buddy over here, the Warlord. Oh, right here. It's kind of a long range shooter with twin mortars on the back of it.
Looks like a TOW vehicle.
Yeah, to some extent, I guess it does. I think so. I can see that impression being given off. Maybe somebody said it looked like a jet ski. So got that one going. I'm gonna do some weathering on it as well. So, but yeah, that's those are going to be on display at Origins. So we're working on that, get that big diorama going, and bring miniatures back in a big way. So, but yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of drama out there, and you can choose to be part of it or choose to ignore it. I try to ignore it, but it somehow finds me. I just don't want to get involved with all that stuff though. And what's really funny is when I see people that I respect a lot just go crazy at each other. It's like, oh, okay, it's like mom and dad fighting again.
Yeah, at one point I wanted to kind of stay out of it as well, but what I ended up finding out was that they were part of it, whether we liked it or not. I mean, I've talked about it on my stream. I know Bruce has heard this. I got kicked out of a game. I actually got gatekept. These people say don't gatekeep.
Right.
I got gatekept by these type of people because of a presumed voting practice. Not who I actually voted for, but presumed who I voted for. Obviously, we all know 2016 election. A lot of people made assumptions about who I voted for there as well. And so people started disavowing and so on and so forth. Yet, you don't know my voting record. You don't know who I voted for, and I didn't talk about that. But because the presumptions were what the presumptions were, well, people had thoughts. And then I was losing friends. And it used to be where I could, I mean, again, these are what were progressives, PC culture, progressives, now woke, whatever. We were able to debate, go at it, and still have a beer afterwards. Something about 2016 changed all of that, where now you can't even do that. I lost a bunch of friends, but they were still spouting off nonsense. So I was like, well, if you're going to spout off nonsense and end a friendship over it, fuck you. I'm going to do the same. I'm not going to let you have the last fucking word on this, because that's what I saw happening.
Right.
And I'm like, where the hell are the conservatives? And to be honest, most of them were, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, Max, you're just being hyperbolic like normal. The schools aren't that bad. Who cares if somebody does this in school or at this place? 2 years later, they're homeschooling their kids going, I can't believe it's this bad. And I'm not a seer here. I wasn't like so smart. It's because I was paying attention. Other people were saying it, and I was seeing it myself, and I'm trying to tell people what's going on. And, they're like, oh, no, that's just you. That's just you. Okay, fine. And it's all there. And it keeps pushing. And it's like, at some point, it's like, no, I'm not going to let you push anymore. Well, we'll cancel you. Good luck with that, because I scream a lot. Well, like I'd like to see you try to cancel me, because I don't have a job you can threaten. And how are you going to cancel me on the internet? Because I'll just keep screaming louder and louder. How many times have I had my Twitter account canceled or blocked, whatever? Yeah, I don't care. I am not going to shut up. I will find a way. I only have 163 followers on Rumble, but if that's where I have to start on Rumble in order to build up to this 4,000 that I have here on YouTube, fine, I'll do it. I don't give a fuck. Like you are not going to shut me up, and I am not going to let you spout off your nonsense. And the only way to counter now, people tell me a lot, why don't you just take the high road? Why don't you just, be more polite and more political? Because I used to be that way, and nobody fucking listens if you do that. Nobody listens if you scream. So at least I'm going to have some fun screaming, number one. And number two, I'm going to read just as loudly as they read, because a lot of people are taking the high road. A lot of people are, I'm going to do this through my good works. I'm going to do this through making a better product. I'm not going to call them dirty names like they do to us. I'm going to be better than that. Look, I respect you for doing that, but you have to have some people in the mud as well. So yeah, using morals against you is their go-to. Absolutely, that's absolutely yeah. So actually, it's something Green Apple said a bit ago that I wanted to see that are both anti-fun and So I want to make, and Bruce, you can shut me up if this is taken over.
You're fine.
But on the politics side, look, as somebody who believes that he's somewhat libertarian, excuse me, I got to take a drink. I am losing my voice now. As somebody who believes that he is part libertarian, I also see the bad side of that. For example, I don't care what two people do in their own home. Okay? I don't care if it's two dudes. I don't care if it's three dudes. I don't care if it's 5 women and 2 dudes. I don't give a fuck as long as you're not a pedophile. Let me rephrase it. As long as it's all consensual and you're not a pedophile. I don't care. Okay? But that's a personal belief. That's not a societal belief. That's a personal belief. So a lot of people like to bust the balls of religious people like, oh, you're just a bunch of prudes. Oh, you're just a bunch of this. But on a societal level, we should not be supporting all types of behavior. Even Hammurabi had codes that talked about adultery. And the reason for that is because he looked and said, you know what? If Bob goes over there and screws Jim's wife, Jim gets pissed off and kills him, and then it starts a blood feud. And then you got people hating other people. No, let's not have that type of shit. So I don't blame promiscuity. I don't give a fuck how promiscuous you are as a person. But on a societal level, that isn't something that we should be promoting. And that's the difference that I think a lot of conservatives miss.
I agree with that.
Well, when you get it right down to it, something like adultery is actually a form of thievery. It's a form of theft. Not that you own anybody. That's not the kind of theft I'm talking about. But it steals, and it breaks an agreement. It steals trust.
Oh, who cares? It's just words on paper. Man, people get divorced. I've had 5 marriages. I mean, all the excuses are out there. By the way, I agree with you. I'm just saying that those are the kind of responses you get. I should be with the person I love. And what about the person who beats his wife? Should she have to stay with him? It's like, no, of course not. But
that's completely different. That's a completely different. Yeah, that's a completely different conversation anyway, right there.
Sure.
And that almost seems like a good place for us to kind of segue and there's a whole nother conversation begging for discussion. We can do this at a later point.
Yeah, the only point that I wanted to make was that there's difference between societal and personal. And I believe on a personal level, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want that doesn't affect somebody else. On a societal level, we shouldn't be normalizing behaviors that are honestly destructive to a society.
I agree. Man, do I agree. Max, you've got a show on Sunday afternoon, don't you?
Yes, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. RPG Digest. Be covering skills in Mutant Year Zero. And then Heathen Dog's going to talk about three mistakes that game masters make, new game masters make in Rifts, and three bad choices new players make in Rifts.
Okay. JP, are you doing anything this week to promote yourself?
Yeah, I stream on Twitch at Tuesday nights at 9:00 and Thursday nights at 7:00, and I go to 11 p.m. each night Eastern time.
Fantastic.
So those are my streams. So if you want to come over and or anybody that's out there that's watching that wants to come over and heckle me while I turn out fair to mediocre paint jobs, you're more
Do you use Discord at all?
Yes, I do.
If you come over to Legitimate Discord, I have a shout out channel. You're more than welcome to use it to shout out your live streams. I don't know how many people pay attention to that channel, but awesome. You're welcome to come over here and promote your live stream on it.
I will. I'll check that out. I'll find your you got a link, right?
Links are in the description of all my videos, so yeah.
Okay. A lot of times I don't look at the description on a lot of videos, especially if they're live streams. I just kind of turn them on and start listening. And if there's
It's
something
just the
that
easiest
sparks
way
my
because the
interest,
Discord link is a bunch of weird characters, and I never remember what they are. So
yeah, I understand. I'm right there with you. So very cool. Very cool. Well, I've really enjoyed streaming with you guys tonight. I don't usually stream on the weekends. I just happened to be on here, and um, Bruce was saying, "Hey, anybody want to hop on?" I'm like, "I'm nobody, but I'll hop on. Sure, why not? You know."
did Bruce just leave his own stream?
I don't
Say,
know.
screw you guys, I'm out. I quit.
He said, "You guys
Bruce.
are doing well." Bruce, are you there?
No,
I'm in
he
Bruce.
actually he dropped it. He dropped it. It might have just been a network connection. He might have hit the wrong button. He's still streaming.
Come in, Orson. Are you there, Orson?
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that in a long time. More Colin Orson. More.
Tell you what, men of a certain age, right?
Yeah. Nanu. I can do the hand thing too.
Yeah. Nanu. Shazbot.
Oh my God, yeah. Jonathan Winters being the egg, he aged backwards.
Yeah.
All that weird. That's such a weird show. And even as a kid, I thought that Pan Dauber was hot. I don't know if she still is. Is she even alive anymore? But
Boy, I don't know. I know somebody from that show got murdered, killed, or
wow.
something.
Oh geez.
It might have been her. I don't remember.
I remember having a little child crush on her.
Yeah.
Not as much as Erin Gray, but still, I had a little child crush on her.
Oh well, I mean,
Pam
Aaron
Dauber
Gray.
or Aaron Gray?
Both, but Erin Gray was the big crush. Pam Dauber was the little crush.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can really tell somebody's character. Jennifer or Bailey from WKRP.
Oh man, I barely watched that show.
Bailey.
Yeah, I'm much more for Bailey. Then see, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny the way that goes, because then it goes to Ginger or Marianne, and usually if somebody says Bailey, they'll go with Marianne.
Definitely Marianne.
Yeah.
My internet went down for just a half second, so I was listening to the wife talking to me about something. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
I don't know which one's Ginger, which one's Bailey, but between the two, not the blonde. Even though I'm normally a blonde looker, but I like there's that innocent look of that other one.
Right. Yeah. You're on the right page.
Okay.
I look forward to talking about this again here in the future and discussing more miniature painting techniques, games like Frostgrave or anything by Osprey Publishing. But tonight, I have to get ready for tomorrow.
Well, thanks. I gave you a thumbs up, but I forgot I'm not on camera. Bruce, thanks for letting me pop in here and say a lot of things, but not have to sing. I'm going to drop out because I know what'll happen is we'll talk for an hour after the stream. So I'm going to drop out now.
Okay.
JP, it's great talking with you. I hope you both have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah,
fair enough.
thanks.
Thank you, Max.
All right.
JP, it's good first meeting you,
think
sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I will be looking forward to talking to you here in a chat. And if you're not doing much tomorrow, I know I'll be streaming most of the day.
Okay, cool. May pop in. Actually, I've got a painting competition to go to tomorrow, so I don't know how long it's going to take. So,
looking forward to hearing how that goes afterwards.
I've got a piece in at the local hobby shop.
Cool. Well, I will talk to you soon, sir. I thank you, and I thank everybody in the chat for jumping in. That was a lot of fun, guys. I'll see you soon.
Good for now.